Yep. All right, moving on to the NFC North now, where I think this is probably one of the most competitive and polarizing divisions, and I had a really hard time, and I kept rolling back to two divisions. This one in the NFC, and there's one in the AFC I kept rolling back to over and over and over again because I was having a really hard time on where everyone placed, and I switched things around a lot.
You didn't know what to do with the Raiders, did you?
I didn't. I had
Mm,
no idea what to do with them. I had
mm.
them. I had at one point I had them winning 2 games. At another point, I had them in a winning record, and then I kept flipping. I didn't know what to do. I finally landed on something. But starting off with the NFC North, fourth seed for the division, 13th seed overall is the Minnesota Vikings at 7-10.
Wow, 7 wins for the Vikings.
Yeah, 7 wins
Wow.
for the Vikings.
I had them at 13th with 4 wins.
This comes down just basically the coin flip of how much do you believe in JJ McCarthy, and it's not really how much do I believe in JJ McCarthy. It's the pieces around him are batshit insane. I don't think that the switch between Darnold and JJ is that drastic where they're going to lose us like all the way down to 4 wins. I do think it's drastic enough to drop to 7 because the defense is going to carry a lot of the weight of this team. And now on top of that, you have all of the offensive weapons, right? You have obviously you have the best wide receiver in the league on the team, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor would come out and he would have some great games. And you did some work on the offensive line as well, right? I mean, you have Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, you drafted Donovan Jackson in the first. So you did some work on the offensive line. TJ Hawkinson is also there. Aaron Jones is also there. A little bit older, still there though, with you signing Jordan Mason on top of it. It's a lot of talent on this team. It just comes down to one, I don't think the Minnesota can come out and surprise people again. And two, JJ McCarthy is going to be middle in the pack. I mean, if you heard us last year where we kind of ranked JJ and where we talked about JJ, 7-10, I think, is as far as he could take this team in a full first year start for him. I don't think it's going to go much more than this.
This comes down to one thing for me. I'm a massive Jim Harbaugh fan. I know that seems a little random. Y'all will find out later. Which means I watched a lot of Michigan football over the past couple of years. Big believer in that running back that's in LA for the Rams that didn't get too much playing time last year, but Mr. Blake Corum. But there's one thing that Sam Darnold has, and it's elite level arm talent. And he's got this Brett Favre mentality where he's like, fuck it, Jay Jettis is down there somewhere. I'm gonna just throw it down there and he'll figure it out. And most of the time Justin Jefferson does. I just think for JJ McCarthy, I just don't think as a rookie, he's just gonna have I don't think he'll have the balls to make those throws. You know what I mean? I don't think we're gonna see too many of these out of Justin Jefferson this year. Like I don't see too many gritties in our future. I think the defense will be it. And I just think that those wide receivers put fear in the defensive game plans. I just don't see them approaching this team with the same fear this year with ultimately a rookie quarterback. So, but we have them the same in the division, just disagreeing on wins and losses a little bit. So we're pretty much in lockstep there.
Third place. We have at the what?
I have third place at number 8, just barely missing the playoffs.
I have third place at the 11th seed.
Okay. So you don't like these guys as much as I do.
It's not about how much I like or dislike them. It's just the rest. I think there's questions, obviously, and bringing it all together. It definitely comes down to the division, honestly. It's a really tough division.
I have this team going 3-3 in this division and still walking away with 11 wins. So I think that head coach out there in Chicago is going to have Mr. Caleb Williams balling out. And I think the Chicago Bears are going to win 11 games this year, and they are going to miss the NFL playoffs at 11-6.
Let's run through it because this is one of the more interesting teams week to week. Week 1,
the Bears.
Win or lose. Okay. Yep. Week 2,
Lions.
Yep. 3.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, this is where we came to a disagreement here. Okay, so I gave this one to the Cowboys.
But could you see the
Week
Bears
four.
winning?
Oh, absolutely. No, I
Perfect.
originally had this. I had this originally as a Bears win. I swapped it back to the Cowboys.
Okay.
Yeah. Week 4, the Bears win.
Yep.
Week 6, Washington.
Manders. Yep.
Yep. 7, the Bears. 8, Baltimore.
Yep.
9, Cincinnati.
Bears.
And I could see this, the team, the pass rush, the weak offensive line that Cincinnati has. A lot of questions there, and we'll talk about that later.
I'm making the same Joe Burrow prediction this year, bro. He might go for 5,050. He might go for 5,050.
Right. Week 10, the Bears.
Yep.
Week 11, the Bears.
I gave this one to the Vikings, just that weird division shit that happens.
Sure. Week 12, the Bears.
Yep.
13 and 14, I have going to Philly and to Green Bay.
Yep.
15 is the Bears.
Yep.
16, I didn't have them splitting this one. I had Green Bay sweeping them.
I gave this to the Bears just because division games, right?
Yep. 17, I gave this to the Bears.
Me too.
And 18, I gave it to the Bears.
Me too.
It's the Cowboys difference, and it's a game to Minnesota. That's our difference.
Cowboys, Bengals, and a division game. Yep.
Yeah. So those are our handful of differences. Outside of that, we're pretty much really close on everything else. I like the team. There's so many guys that I personally really like as just players. Obviously, Caleb is going to be the number one thing to see if it all comes together. Ben Johnson and being the head coach, I think it's fantastic, and I do believe in that. I like DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Luther Burden, big fan. I love Luther Burden. The offensive line, hugely improved. Braxton Jones, Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, that was one of the best centers in the league last year. Your favorite, Jonah Jackson. And then they draft Colson Loveland, who was my tight end number 1. Very close to Tyler Warren by like this much, but my tight end number 1. So there's a lot of talent on this team, but there was last year as well. Bringing in the new coach definitely is going to make the difference there. Seeing how it meshes is going to make the difference for me.
Yeah, you can
another potential victim of where I want certain teams to win or lose, dropping a couple of those.
You could throw everything out from week 1 because we knew that coaching staff was dog shit before they even drafted Caleb. And you and me were like, first of all, how are you letting this coach Caleb in year 1? How are you not bringing any quarterback competition? # the bagel. That you bring in a bagel to compete with him. Everything they did last year was stupid. Caleb's run around for his life. And, they had that thing where he just had heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss. # we're at Buffalo Wild Wings for that Hail Mary against the Commanders. That was fantastic.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just so many things went wrong for them last year for them to lead where they're at. And I just think their head coach is an elite level talent. I think he's Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid. I think he's right up there with them. And shout out to them for winning 11 freaking games and missing the playoffs. I honestly want this to happen just for storyline. I think that's fantastic.
Yep. No, I'm right there with you. Now at second place, I have at 12-5, 6th place overall, making the playoffs, the Green Bay Packers.
Me too.
Are we lockstep with that?
Yeah, and spoiler alert, I have the Lions at the same exact record. They just won more division games than the Packers, so they get the division and the Packers don't.
So I have them 1 game more. So I have the Lions 1 game more, 2nd seed in the playoffs, and picking up 1 more division game than the Green Bay Packers. So that's the one difference there. But yeah, I just think, I know some people aren't, if you listen to the talking heads and you listen to a lot of the people on podcasts and TV, a lot of people weren't super bought in this year, 100% on the Packers, just because there's a lot of questions that surround the team about how well Jordan Love is going to play, this offensive line, the health of the offensive line, who's going to emerge as the number 1 wide receiver. I don't think really a lot of that matters. Is Lucas Van Ness going to really, what'd you say?
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson. Is Lucas Van Ness going to take a step in year 3? How healthy is Jair Alexander going to be? The kind of weird stuff that happened with, is he going to be traded? Is he going to stay type thing throughout the season or the off season, excuse me. He ends up staying. A lot of questions surrounding the team. But this is a talented unit at the end of the day. And they were talented last year. They brought back a lot of the same people. They're going to be talented again. I think that's just what it comes down to at the end of the day. And Matt LaFleur is a genius, and I don't really see it going any other way. You have all the pieces in place with a good head coach, good offensive mind head coach. It should fall into place to win 12 games this year.
I think something that I'm going to remember as we do this throughout the season is me and you had discussions on the podcast last year asking, once the season started, the season is underway, and we had conversations like, is Sirianni getting fired? And then they won the Super Bowl. So I'm just going to make sure not to overreact to too much craziness this year. You know, if the Niners lose to the Giants, I'm not going to cut my head off. Like, you know, stuff like that. I don't even think they play the Giants this year, but just in that mold, the Packers have all the talent in the world. They have an elite level head coach. They have a quarterback that has shown he can play at an elite level, and he has another year. Hopefully he doesn't play on some shoddy ass Brazilian field in week 1. Who knows how far that set him back, that injury, with the way he plays and the way he moves and all that stuff. So yeah, that's going to be a super competitive division. I'm super excited to see it. And ultimately, I think that Jared Goff is at the point in his career where I'm going to continue to root for him forever, because if he was a little bit more mobile, man, he'd be the best quarterback in the league. But instead, when he gets into those situations, the only thing I don't like about Jared Goff is when he gets into those situations where he has to be a little mobile, he just dirts the ball and walks away. So I think that's what holds him back from that tier 1 of quarterback. But that division is going to be nasty, and I'm excited to hashtag Sundays off in Utah, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
I will be. And you know what?
Both of us.
And Utah's an hour ahead, dog. So the games don't start till 11. So I get to get out. I get to get on the golf course, get that tucked away for the day, and then grab myself a couple brewskis and just football it up, baby. I'm very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking just a little bit more about the Lions too, ranking second in the entire conference is just, the team's extremely talented. The biggest thing is, we know the culture, we know the players, we know who returns, we know who leaves. Not a whole lot of departures that are going to affect them in a major way. Still some questions about maybe some of the secondary stuff, but I think DJ Reed is an upgrade over Carlton Davis. And then you do draft Tyleik Williams, so trying to get some help on the defensive tackle side. So if one of those guys goes out, DJ Reader or Aleem McNeil, he can go ahead and rotate in. And plus, he'll just be a rotational guy in and out anyway. So he plays a good role there. He probably got drafted to the perfect team where he doesn't play a whole lot. I like that he got drafted closer to the back end of the first, more closer than the front end where he was originally projected, like when I first started going through stuff, because I did not like him as a front end first round pick, but the back end I'm more comfortable with. So I think he got drafted in the perfect situation. Hutchinson coming back, defensive player of the year, hopefully, is basically what's sitting on his table, on his lap, because that's what he was. He was the defensive player of the year before he gets hurt. It wasn't even close at all, to the point where we got to the defensive player of the year at the end of the year. We're like, oh, who's the defensive player? Yeah, I don't know. I guess we just got to pick someone. So that's just, we're sitting there and we're debating between a corner and an edge rusher. So, which, corner, we wouldn't have even been deciding at all if it wasn't for Hutchinson getting hurt. So team's talented. At the end of the day, it comes down to offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, what they bring in. Hopefully they don't change a whole lot. If they don't, the team's going to be really good.
Yeah, and ultimately, this team, I think, is going to come back with a massive chip on their shoulder with how their season got cut short last year because of injuries. And if you asked me for a Super Bowl prediction outside of the Bills, Ravens, Eagles mantra, the ones that we would probably pick anyway, I would be like, oh boy, if the Lions are healthy this year, they have a lot of motivation on that squad, on the offensive side, on the defensive side to ball out, because they really got bit bad last year.
Absolutely.